Jerry Douglas, Stian Carstensen, we've got you together at last. I don't know how many years it's taken, but it's great to hear you live in the studio. And that was a little Cajun ramble?
It was something we just came up with. I mean, Stian had the basic idea for it, and I think we did ramble around a little bit until we found other parts that worked. And that's the beauty of collaboration right there.
So just before we go on and hear some more music, what instruments have you brought with you today?
Well, I just have a resophonic guitar, dobro guitar, but it's not made by the dobro company. It's made by a guy named Paul Beard. It's a signature model guitar that I have. I worked on a lot of things on the inside of it, made it special, made it different than other resophonic guitars, and I like it. I really like this thing, and so I play it all the time.
Could you tell me a little bit about where the dobro comes from? The name itself is interesting.
Certainly, yeah. The dobro comes from a shortened term for Dopiera brothers, who were Slovakians and immigrated to the United States in the very early 1920s as cabinet makers and violin makers. Invented the national steel guitar, and then when the war effort kicked in, they saw the demand for steel came up so high, they knew they needed to create a wooden-bodied guitar that would serve the same purpose, and there was a Hawaiian craze going on in the United States at the same time. So they liked Hawaiian guitars, but the guitars weren't loud enough. So they built this shiny metal top on the guitar and built like a speaker cone inside of it, so the sound goes down and comes out really fast. Makes the guitar a little louder, and you play it with a steel slide. So there's some really different things about it than a regular guitar.
It's such a distinctive sound, really soulful, but can be such fun as well.
Can be.
Perfect.
Because of the slide in it. It's much like a violin. There is no set note. I'm not pressing down against a fret. I mean, the bar that I hold in my hand is the fret. It's like a movable fret. So if there's a bad note, that's mine. It's not the guitar's.
Stian, you've brought a very powerful accordion with you.
It's also made for me, this accordion. Inside it has old cannons from Second World War, actually, which they melted and made reeds for accordion. It's an old guy in Moscow who's doing that together with his son. So they spent half a year making this reed set for this accordion. And my friend who has the Italian factory, Bugari, he went to Moscow to pick these things up, and he put it together with the body of the Italian accordion. Now it's a good combination.
It's a very loud accordion.
Yeah, it's a real
beautiful sound.
Beast.
It's a beast. It can be beautiful, also really rough if you're playing for drunk people who are dancing, which I do sometimes.
Well, you do quite often, I believe.
Yeah.
And you've brought a banjo along as well, which we're going to hear a bit later on.
In Norway, that's two of the most hated instruments.
What, the accordion and the banjo?
So there was this guy who said, I have this old car which I can't lock, and say, how do you dare to put the accordion in there? And I said, well, last time I put it there was another accordion when I came back, So.
And now you have a banjo too.
Yeah, so I need a bagpipe, but then it's a hat trick.
I'm sure we can find you one. If anyone's got a spare set of bagpipes, we'll pass them on to Stian.
Thank you very much. I'll be doomed forever.
But you'd never actually met until we brought you two together in the studio, though we've been planning this for a long time and getting through quite a lot of music this evening. So let's have a second tune from you, something I think a bit more soulful coming up. But have you thought of a name for it yet?
I have this friend, Ali Bain, this Shetland fiddler. I just love the guy, and he's taught me a lot about tone and how long to hold a note. He plays this beautiful airs, on the violin. He told me one time, he said, when you're playing a long note, he said, play the note long enough until you see a tear form in the corner of an eye, and then release the note. So I thought that's really good advice. So we've named the tune Bain's Bane.
One, two, three.
Well, that was going from something really beautiful to that was great fun.
From the
at the
sublime to the
end.
ridiculous. Yeah. Well,
So, what tunes have we just heard there?
Chicken Reel
Yeah.
and what do we
Shucking
play?
the Corn?
Shucking the Corn, an Earl Scruggs tune, our tribute to Earl Scruggs, who passed away this past year at 88 years old. Was a great friend of mine. But Stian, he did the thing to the banjo that Earl did to the banjo as well. You just play it with all your heart and soul, and what comes out comes out. And it's another beast. You know, the banjo is it's a hard instrument to play. And he's chosen the two hardest instruments to play probably there are on this planet. So he's doing pretty well at it, I think.
Stian, is this your only banjo, or do you have a whole collection at home?
Usually you're just allowed to have one. I guess. No, it's. Maybe I should say the reason I started to play this instrument because I saw this movie. Maybe you see that, Jerry, Deliverance.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that'll scare you.
Yeah, it did.
Stay away from banjos for a while.
Well, it's so sinister with this weird things happening, but very happy music in the background all the time. And when I saw that dueling banjos in the 80s, I just I gotta learn to play the banjo, you know.
So many people learn to play the
Yeah.
banjo from that movie. Yeah.
It's incredible.
Amazing
It's a
what it did
revival.
for an instrument. Yeah,
Did you grow up in a musical family, Jerry?
I did. Well, my father was a steel mill worker, but he was proficient enough on the guitar and as a lead singer, and also had led a band from as far back as I can remember, and so I grew up in the house. You know, going to school in the morning, I would be listening to Lester Flatt and Earl Scruggs and the Foggy Mountain Boys, either on the radio I grew up way up next to the Great Lakes in Ohio, northern Ohio. So if the weather was right, we could hear Nashville, Tennessee, the Clear Channel, WSM. But if the weather wasn't good, like it often was not good, we would be listening to a record. And those are those big black things that spin, and you put a needle down on them. And for people out there that had never seen one of those, and so I'd listen to that, but at night I was going to sleep listening to the huge rock stations out of Cleveland, Ohio. It was a rock mecca there as well. So I was a confused young man and didn't know what kind of music I wanted to play. So hence I play all kinds of music now, but on a dobro. And because of my father, I'm a musician, I'm sure. Yeah, he's a great man, a great guitar player and singer. 80 years old now, still playing.
Fantastic. And Stian, what about your musical background?
Same with me. My dad is the reason I play. He brought an accordion to the home when I was 8-9 years old, and I said, "Dad, I really want to play the piano." And he said, accordion is the grand piano of the social democracy. I don't know how to say it in English, but and then I understood. Well, that's really important, I guess. So I had to do it. I started to play it, and I said, after 3 weeks, we're going to play in a wedding. So he taught me one waltz first night, and then I was hooked. I played all the time. But my grandfather also played, and his father played. My mother's father. It's like 5 generations on each side, so didn't really have a choice when I was a kid. But it was okay, So we did a lot of weddings and learned traditional music. And my dad also played in like a Shadows band, guitar. So I also exposed to different kind, just like Jerry. So I was a little confused kid, So when I was 14, I started to play in a black metal band. But in the weekends, we played weddings with my dad with accordions. I didn't tell anyone that, of course. But
Yeah, it was the same with me. I didn't tell anybody I played bluegrass music. It was just
Really?
not cool where I lived. No one knew until I was a senior in high school and had been on the road with a professional band the summer before anyone knew I was a musician.
Well, that's exactly the same with the accordion, because people thought I was really corny, So tried to hide that I played accordion because that was absolutely not cool thing to do.
Yeah.
So that's weird. It's kind of similar, I guess.
It's worked out though, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, you've done all right. Are you going to bring a tear to our eyes next? We have another slow tune.
Oh, we're going to play Wild Mountain Time. It's just an old Scottish ballad, and has a lot of respect in that country, and will make entire stadiums stand up and sing. And I learned the song from a guy named Dick Gaughan up in Scotland on a TV show that I do called Transatlantic Sessions, and I love the song and been playing it for years now. And Stian mentioned it when we were thinking about tunes to play, and I just love the song and jumped at the chance to play it, especially with him.
Yeah, same to me. I like that song very much. It has this psalm kind of quality that in Norway we like, church music are it's a little bit like this slow things with a lot of things going on, even if it's slow, So I can relate to that song.
Well, that was such a gorgeous version of Wild Mountain Thyme. So glad to bring you together to play that. We are wiping that tear from our eyes right now. Maybe we'll go out on a bit of a party. Have you got something up your sleeve that we could do?
Yeah, I mean, we could do some. Well, I grew up playing swing jazz music, and this is not. It's like Western swing, isn't it?
It's Western swing. It's Bob Wills, Texas Playboys kind of swing. Yeah. It's an easy tune to play, but there are so many things you can do to it. You know, while it is a simple melody, it's a dance tune. So it swings, and if the music swings, the people swing. And if the people swing, they're happy.
Well, it's been really great having you in the studio. I hope you've enjoyed it.
Oh yeah.
I have enjoyed it, and we've been trying to do this, like you say, for so many years, and for whatever reason that I couldn't make or Stian couldn't make it, I'm so happy we finally did this. I mean, I think I've made a friend for life, and I know we'll play again.
It's a little bit like when I was a kid, Christmas was fun. It's not that fun anymore, but this is like Christmas when I was a kid.
Oh.
You understand what I mean? So, yeah, I've been listening to this guy since 88. I heard the first record, so it's a little bit unreal, but I'm starting to get over the shock.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. So
Thanks.
let's go out with Panhandle Rag. Panhandle Rag from two wonderful musicians, two great people. It was such a pleasure to have in the Late Junction studio for our Late Junction collaboration session. Jerry Douglas and Stian Carstensen.